morning, my beautiful people. Welcome to the Younib Breakfast Show, your daily dose of information and inspiration. I am your host, Maryann Gatu, and I will be taking you through from the beginning till the end of this show. Now, right about now, I want us to have our morning bite of the day. So today, guys, we'll be talking about mental health stigma and how it impacts or affects individuals and communities. Remember, this show is brought to you by Miss Your Ashen and the Younib organization. So, guys, today I have two lovely ladies with me today, and I will give them a chance to introduce themselves. Remember, you can talk to us through our social media platforms, that is Younib Media TV, on YouTube and on Facebook, and on Instagram and TikTok, Younib_TV. So right about now, let me give my guests a chance to introduce themselves. Karibuni sana.
Asante.
Which turns on the side, yeah, right? Our left. Let us start with you.
Sawa. My name is Valentine Ndiwa. I am a psychologist by profession, currently working with the Younib organization in partnership with the Miss You Ashen, that is a German-based organization. So this organization is the one that is even responsible for what we are doing here. So today we have come to talk to you, the community or our viewers. Let me not address them as the community, but our viewers about the stigma that is related or rather associated with the mental illness of different individuals that are suffering from various types of mental illness. So I'm really happy and excited, and I believe that by the end of this discussion, maybe those people who are not well informed about stigma and mental health would really be in a position to get educated. Thank you.
Very nice. We're so happy to have you today. So let us go to you.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Beula Njagi. Thank you for having me. I'm a psychological facilitator as well. I work together with PSC. PSC stands for Psychosocial Support Center. And it's just a private organization that deals with all things mental health. We work with organizations, teams, families, groups, individuals, couples from, as young as they can come in to as old as they can come in. And our goal is to just create an open space where people can come with their challenges, and together we find a solution to them, and we empower them to find a solution and build skills to just improve their lives. But currently we are working together with Younib and the Younib organization and, this project that has been brought by Miss You Ashen to again bring the same empowerment to our communities. It's very exciting to be here, to be a part of this, to get to learn and educate each other. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So today, as you all know, we're talking about mental health stigma. But first of all, I want us to know what is mental health. And I want you to tell us what is mental health, and I want you to tell us what is stigma, so that our viewers can understand what is mental health from a basic level.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I believe there is also a show that we did on the introduction of mental health. Maybe some of our viewers didn't get that opportunity. So basically what mental health is about, okay, I can say it comes from two words, the mental and the health. So mental is mostly about your mind. Health just means well-being. The same way we have the physical health. So physical health is about how the well-being of our bodies. You know, the body is what is generally visible. But now you see the mind, we cannot see what goes on in our mind, but our behaviors, how we behave will portray that something is happening inside our mind. So mental health is just the well-being of your mind. And it also means that you in life, the life that we live, we do have stresses. It doesn't mean that there are absences of stresses in our lives. So it means that we are experiencing some stresses and we are able to face those stresses and perform our normal tasks. And that's why if our functionality is affected, that is when we see that somebody is struggling with the mental illness. Yeah.
Very nice. So what is stigma?
Right. So stigma in, I think, let me try and be as simple as I can, even for my own sake. When we talk about stigma, we're referring to negative perception, negative treatment of people because of one reason or the other that defines them. So this characterizes discrimination, this characterizes stereotypes and prejudice against, people going through something. So in our context, we are talking about what Valentine has defined. So we're talking about this negative perception and negative treatment of people who are undergoing mental health challenges. Yeah.
So according to your description, there's a way mental health and stigma relates.
Yes.
So can you tell us what really causes stigma?
Yeah, I believe a lot of it is first a lack of understanding of issues to do with mental health. And then there's also the stereotypes created mostly by what the media has portrayed or what people have come to understand as mental health challenges. So there's usually this thought that, people undergoing mental health challenges are aggressive or they're violent or they are incompetent in some way or just whatever belief system based off of a lack of education or a lack of understanding of what this is, makes it easy for people to form certain conclusions and then treat now the people they have encountered who mention that they are going through mental health challenges through that lens. So if I have not understood what, say, bipolar is, I could have an assumption that, people with bipolar are aggressive or that they can't work or, they can't stay alone, they'll hurt others, they'll hurt themselves. So if I meet someone with bipolar, I will treat them in a manner that reflects what I believe about them.
So you're saying there's so many misconceptions about stigma.
Absolutely. About mental health.
About mental health.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I think I can just add something on that. Other than people lacking that information, especially in our African context, the way we tend to be, or we are more spiritually inclined. So you find that sometimes we use this term, kama seme kurogwa, or being bewitched. So that I can give as an example of stereotype, and this will come as a belief. So because we are mentored or trained to that people should behave in a certain way, like for example, we usually say that people should be able to socialize well with other people. So you find that if I have a child who is not socializing well with other people and the community or the friends around them are not in a position to understand that, probably that the personality of my child is different, you will find that these people will label my child using like a different term, like this person just doesn't like anapenda tu kukaa peke yake, but hawajaelewa like hivyo ndio anaweza kuwa. So how the kind of beliefs or the attitudes that we have Na tukiendelea hapo mbele, like we will see races. Sometimes we tend to stigmatize other people because of their appearance, like how they look. I don't want to associate with this person. Maybe their physical appearance, tall people, or maybe you've heard that tall people usually get angry really fast. And since you have captured that information, you want to believe that information. And then also there is this misconception that those people who are suffering from mental illness are being bewitched in our African context. So we find that our belief system and the kind of attitudes that we have towards people who are suffering from mental illness is what usually causes stigma. Yeah.
So these people are really misunderstood in their community.
Yeah.
So guys, as you have heard, that's just the beginning of this conversation. When we come back, we'll be talking about how stigma really affects people undergoing mental health. If you have anything to tell us, you can tell us through our social media platforms. Instagram and TikTok, you can find us at Younib_TV. Or you can find us through our WhatsApp number or SMS number, that is 0719 144 144. See you after the break. Welcome back, guys. This is the Younib Breakfast Show. But before we went for the break, we were talking about stigma and how it affects people with mental health conditions. So I want our guests today to tell us what are the impacts of stigma on people undergoing mental health.
Okay. Many people who are experiencing stigma usually suffer a lot. As individuals, we have that desire or need, basic need. We want to be loved, we want to be appreciated, we want to feel wanted. But you find that if you are in that space whereby you're not experiencing that warmth or the sense of belonging, you will find that even your self-worth, your self-esteem will go down. Like, I would say that you will not have that confidence if you are in trouble. That is, these people, because we're talking about people who are struggling with mental health conditions. So since their self-esteem has gone down, even them going to seek the necessary treatment would be a problem to them. So I can ask Beula to elaborate more on that. Yeah.
So what you said is really true. When we talk about stigma, the first thing is that it affects is the how people actually go out and seek for that treatment. So you'll find that there's delayed seeking of treatment or interventions, which means that sometimes the condition actually gets worse, and it didn't need to if they would have just sought help at the time when it happened. But because of that fear of how will they be perceived, a lot of people shy away from seeking treatment. And then those that get to, sometimes due to stigma, they stop adhering to medication before they should. So again, that fear of, what people are saying or what people will say or how they are perceived causes them not to adhere to the very thing that would make them get better because of whatever could be said or has been said about it. And then there's also that aspect that Valentine has brought out of the social exclusion. So when we talk about, I think in like everywhere where you have sat us down to talk about mental health in whatever condition or everything, one of the things we talk about as the things that you need for good mental health is social support. It's a very important aspect of being human. And so because of stigma, that's kind of taken away. So you're not able to integrate into society, you're not able to have that social support that leads to isolation, that leads to loneliness, that could actually cause depression on top of whatever mental health condition was there before. So it makes everything worse, I think, would be the short statement of it. Yeah.
That's very nice. So your point is stigma really affects the way this person behaves normally. So what kind of behaviors do these people adopt or get from the stigma they go through? I just wanted you to give us just a few examples.
Okay, so some of the behaviors that people who are going through mental health stigma, some of the behaviors my colleague has just mentioned, or I'd rather had mentioned it before. Like you find if you're going through a stigma, you tend to isolate yourself from other people. The other thing, as a means of coping, you'll find that because you're in that state, you as an individual might find yourself engaging in they're called risky behaviors. A good example of a risky behavior is engaging in drugs, or probably you're drinking too much alcohol as a means of coping. Remember, I had said earlier that if an individual is suffering from stigma, this person feels unwanted and unloved. So, in as much as they might find themselves engaging in risky behaviors such as drinking too much alcohol, or when it comes to their sex life, like you might find that you're sleeping with everyone that is coming within your circle. So another thing that they might go through, some of them, because they are not feeling that love, they might feel that the only solution would be to commit suicide. So sometimes most of these suicide are because some people have gone through some stigma and they don't know where to get the help. You might be surprised that even us as the mental health practitioners, there is some way that we tend to stigmatize. I'm not saying us, but there are those who usually cause stigma to those people who are struggling with this mental health condition. So somebody will tend to withdraw or isolate themselves and even commit suicide eventually. Yeah.
So that leads me to this question. What are the signs that people give, or signs that you can observe and know that this person is undergoing mental health? Because you said if they're stigmatized, they don't talk to people. So how can you know this person is undergoing something and he's being stigmatized, and this person cannot speak out? How can you tell?
We will most likely notice a change in behavior, which is the first thing that we've been mentioning, in that there seems to be withdrawal. And so sometimes you'd notice that even though they may not physically withdraw, like leave the circle or leave the workplace or wherever they're at, there'll be a shrinking. Remember when Valentine started, she talked about how that affects your self-esteem. So there would be that you'd notice that before perhaps this person would comment, today morning was a struggle. And then slowly, you're not hearing anything about them or about, whatever struggle they're facing. So there's that psychological withdrawal or verbal withdrawal or physical withdrawal from that situation. I think you'd also be able to notice that the symptoms that they were experiencing are much worse. Or if it wasn't depression that they were experiencing, you would begin to see some of those signs and symptoms of depression. Again, it goes back to heavy on the withdrawal, the declined interest in things that they used to do before or enjoy before. There would be outbursts of anger or long periods of sadness. So these are behaviors that are uncharacteristic to this person, even when they're symptomatic with the other things that are affecting them. Yeah. Then I think you'd also notice a change in the nature of their interaction and their relationships with others, even with their families. So sometimes the stigma could also come from the family, or that the family of this person is being stigmatized. So you would notice that there's a lot of dependence on the family, or that the family will not allow this person to be independent, again, because of either the lack of understanding that could actually form, subconscious stigma to this person. So if they had independence in certain things, they could go, to a certain place and come back home. But now once there's a known condition or there's a name for what they're going through, you'd notice that some level of independence is taken away from them.
So you're talking about mental health and mental health stigma. Can stigma affect people who are okay, like people who are not undergoing any mental health conditions or anything? Can stigma really affect them?
Okay, so stigma, just from the definition, let's leave alone the mental health aspect. It's when somebody has a negative view. Beula talked about perception. Perception is how you see things. For example, if I did not say good morning to you, there is a message that I communicated to you. So for you, you might perceive that probably Valentine is not feeling well today, or she doesn't want to talk to me. And then there is also this person who said, it's not necessary for her to say good morning to me, and that is okay. So you find that that perception, if it is a negative kind of a perception, it will tend to attract a negative form of behavior or a negative thought. So even in our normal surrounding, because stigma, there are those people who are suffering with HIV/AIDS, and up to date, there are those who are complaining that they are going through stigma. Like it's not when you're suffering from HIV, it's not something that you just publicly come and say, I'm suffering from HIV. But I tend to think that with HIV, the stigma is kind of reducing. Why? Because there is more awareness. And that's why you're seeing in the media that people are coming out verbally and saying that I am positive and I've been living with this condition maybe for 30 years. And because of the treatment, I am where I am today. So the same thing, it affects even people who are suffering from different types of conditions. For example, these days, cancer is really on the rise. So even those people who are suffering from cancer tend to experience certain stigma. It can come from, like Beula said, from the family. I've also mentioned from the professional, like where you're going to receive the help. People there may stigmatize you. So not necessarily that you have to suffer the mental health condition for you to be termed as experiencing stigma. So anyone can experience it. Let's say you go to a different country, you are black and racist. There is the aspect of racism. So you find that if there is somebody who doesn't like the black people because of the negative perception that they have towards the black people, you might find that they stigmatize you, and stigma leads to discrimination, because discrimination is about the way they will treat you. So you might find that they tend to treat you not in a proper way that you are supposed to be treated.
Right about now, I want us to go for a short, quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk about the factors that lead to stigmatization. And remember that you can talk to us through our WhatsApp number 0719144144 or our social media platforms, that is Younib Media TV, on YouTube and on Facebook, and on Instagram and TikTok, Younib_TV. Welcome back. Before we went for the break, we were talking about the factors that affect or factors that lead to stigmatization. And I want us to talk about social media. Social media is the, I guess I can say it is the main or the key cause of stigmatization in this day. So I want you to tell us, how can we deal with that? What can we do to reduce all the stigmatization in the social media platforms?
I think you're absolutely right, in the sense that media has been such a big instrument in actually creating or continuing the stigma that is there. Again, largely because of misinformation or misrepresentation of information. So a lot of the beliefs that we have about certain mental health conditions, like if I mention just a random mental health disorder, say for example, antisocial personality disorder, there's already something that's come to your mind based on what you've consumed through social media or through movies or whatever other forms of media. So what can we do? What we can do is use this very same instrument to now actually give correct information about mental health. And we have already started to see that happening. I feel like these days people are a lot more vocal about the mental health challenges, a lot more vocal about what they have done to get help, where they went to seek help, and a lot more passionate about educating, the public on what these things are, how they present, what you can do either as a family, a friend, or just someone in close proximity to this person who is struggling. Yeah, so it just needs to be, I guess, increasing our efforts in providing correct information about matters mental health.
You have something to add?
Well, I believe she's said it all.
Okay. So, as a mental health advocate, what strategies are you taking to reduce this stigmatization or these mental health issues? What steps are you taking?
Okay, so a lot I can say these days people are vocal, just like my colleague has said. Beula has said that in the social media you're seeing people are coming out more clearly. Just like I had mentioned with HIV, people are also talking about their status, and they are at the forefront of educating people. So in the same case, even with the people who are struggling with the mental health conditions, we've seen even reporters, not to mention their names, news reporters or news anchors who have been struggling or going through maybe a depression or a certain mental health condition, coming out clearly and speaking about their condition and how people who are struggling from that condition can be able to receive the help. So I really thank the Younib organization and even the Miss Yuashen, because part of what we are doing, we are going to schools and teaching people about the mental health, because some of them don't know some of the characteristics that they need to look out for to check if they are mentally apt or if they are mentally okay. So part of what we are doing, like currently we are working with schools that are within the Njagi community, teaching people about mental health. Sometimes you can say that they are stigmatizing them, just like Beula as well put it. It's because they lack that information. So saa zingine unapatanga, because you don't know how to handle somebody who is suffering from a mental health condition, unamterm label ama unamterm ni crazy, ama unaona huyo hana future, haizi akafanya kazi ama anything. So part of what we are doing, we are going to schools, teaching them about mental health or their mental well-being, and if some of them are struggling with these mental health challenges, we are advising them to come and seek the professional help. We are also doing referrals. So if there are those extreme cases which require medication, we have referral hospitals put in place. So to eradicate the stigma, much of what we need to do, just like the way they are doing it for the HIV, even the mental health conditions, that we need to create more awareness, and that is what we are doing in schools and even in the community within the Njagi area and this Saikaya.
That's nice. So you say that, in your opinion, you say that social support is really important during this stage of mental health stigma. So what can communities or families out there do to reduce this stigmatization?
So let's talk about families that actually have a member of them suffering from a mental health condition. One is for them to actually also be very active in the process, in understanding what is happening with their person, if I can call them that. And so that means, if hopefully the hope actually is that this person is on top of whatever other help they're getting in a sense that if they need psychiatric care, they're getting that, but that they're also in therapy. So what would happen there is that they get, educated about what's going on. They get to learn their own triggers. They get to learn about their disorder as it affects them and what they can do. So what the family can do is actually be part of that process, get educated as well, get to learn about this thing. And some of the triggers and what they can do to help this person cope. And for them, learning is not just for them, in their house with their person. It's to also teach this information to others and to be advocates. So if I am, nikipata mnaongea alafu nisikie hata huyo mtu anakuanga mwenda, now with my knowledge as a member of a family that is going through that, I have the responsibility to come and say, oh, by the way, hawaitangu mwenda, this is what is happening, it's what's going on in their brain, and so this is what they could actually need, and they could actually be better and live productive lives. So get that information and then take that responsibility of, in your own little ways, when you hear misinformation, give the correct information. Yeah, because that way now more people get to learn about it, and it reduces, these perceptions that we've grown up with. Yeah, and I think another thing that we need to stop doing, when Val was talking about, African societies, and I think even Asian communities, kuna kwanga na a lot of kuficha hawa watu, hata waitoka kwa nyumba, because of this condition that they have, so that neighbors or no one else gets to know what's happening. So how about we start educating these neighbors? How about we start empowering this person who is actually having the disorder? Because it's not that they can't live a productive and fulfilling life. It's just that it will look very different from what we know as normal, but they could actually live very full lives if they get the support that they need. Yeah.
Lovely. This question is directed to you both. Have you noticed any positive change or any improvement in the way people perceive these people with mental health conditions?
Okay, for me, I would say I have, because many people are struggling with mental health conditions. Like, if it is not in your family, it is just on the next, your neighbors. Most of us tunajua, like, kama haiko kwetu ni fulani na fulani ana suffer from this condition. So with that, and even with the awareness that is going on, if everyone is talking about mental health, even the media itself is really doing an amazing work in terms of bringing the awareness to the people. So unlike kitambo, the previous years, you see kitambo people were not talking about it. Na kama venye Beula amesema, like, they were hiding those people who are struggling with mental health conditions. So these days, people tunawajua, we have maybe tuko na some friends who are struggling from the mental health conditions, and we as their friends, what we are doing is that we are supporting them in the best way that we can. And the best way to support them is to be knowledgeable about their condition, learn their behaviors, and then now from there teach the community or the people around these people, this person who is suffering from the mental health condition, so that they are also able to support this person. So I've seen like tremendous improvement, but okay, siwezi sema tuko hapo kabisa. We are still growing.
Yeah, I think I would say the same. Even in just the policies that are at place regarding mental health at the workplace, regarding what schools need and other institutions of learning, that there's actually this awareness that we need to have professionals in these spaces, which I think was not a thing there before, because again, we are hiding or we are punishing this person who's struggling. So the fact that now there's this, let's bring professionals into all these spaces, for me, shows that there is progress. But as Vala amesema, hatujafika, but we're making steps, we're getting there.
Thank you so much for this insightful conversation that you have had. I hope you guys have learned a lot from this. I hope it has been an educative and informative session for you guys. So we have come to the end of today's program. I was your host, Maryann Gatu, and of course, I am filling in for the lovely Penina Wachera. See you next time, same place, same time.